Hello, this is the Following On Daily podcast. I'm Neil Manthorp. I'll be joined by David Bumble Lloyd, Gareth, Batty, Abhishek Jhunjhunwala as we look back at a thumping victory for India by 434 runs. England bowled out in their second innings for a meagre 122, which wasn't bad considering they were reduced to 50 for 7. But it was a day of commanding dominance for the home side, as it was indeed on the third day. India resumed at 196 for 2 and declared on 430 for 4, with Yashasvi Jaiswal becoming the first Indian to score 2 double hundreds in his first 3 test hundreds, back to back of course, having made 209 in the second test match in Visakhapatnam, and he's come to Rajkot and repeated the dose. He retired with back spasms on 104 at the end of day 3. He came back and made 214 not out, equaling the world record for the most sixes in a test innings. He made a dozen, struck a dozen of them, 214 from 236 balls. Sarfaraz Khan finished unbeaten on 68, all of which left England a target of 557, or the possibility of batting out 130 overs to secure a draw. They didn't last 40 overs, bowled out in 39.4 with Ravi Jadeja taking 5 for 41, and what a game he had on his home ground, making 112 in the first innings, adding 5 for 41, and for England a dismal showing after that uplifting, sensational victory in Hyderabad in the first test match. They now find themselves 2-1 down. David Bumble Lloyd is alongside me. It's been 4 eventful days. The game was evenly poised, many thought, after 2 of them.
Yeah, after 2 days, England in a glorious position at 207 for 2. Ashwin having to leave the ground for family reasons, but it was a response by India. India's quick bowlers Siraj and Bumrah really lifted the game, lifted themselves. England, I thought, were complacent and were blown away after a really good start at 207 for 2. You're then thinking, well, 444 by India on the first innings is not that many. England might get a lead. Well, they had a deficit of 126. They lost 5 for 20. And so that from then on, they're not only chasing the game, they were out of the game.
Abhishek, for India, just a remarkable performance in so many ways, given the talk about the absence of Virat Kohli and Mohammad Shami and a whole bunch of other KL Rahul, the out-of-form Shreyas Iyer, they all changed, debutants coming in. Yashasvi Jaiswal has just blown us all away, and I don't wonder whether he's blown himself away with the level of his performance. Over 500 runs in the first 3 tests.
Yeah, we all knew he's a very talented cricketer when he was coming through the ranks. Under 19 level, he did really well. He had a brilliant IPL, but to do it in international cricket and do it so quickly, I don't think anybody expected that. I'm not sure if Yashasvi expected that of himself. So yeah, he's been phenomenal for India. Just a couple of things which for me stands out, that India batted 130 overs in the first innings, and England in total played 110 overs in their 2 innings combined. That just shows that they need to spend a bit more time. Whatever brand of cricket they want to play, they can be attacking as they want. But in Test cricket, you've got to play a few more overs to score runs.
Bumble, I wonder whether the level of disappointment and vindictive reaction from some England spectators might be disproportionate, and that they might do well to remember the moments and the days of glory and all the victories that that England have managed in the last 2 years. I mean, this is an absolute spanking. It's embarrassing, but
it is. But England will brush this away. This next game starts on Friday. They're 2-1 down. There are 2 matches to go. Let's start work right now as to how we can win that next game. And obviously they've got to occupy the crease a lot more. You can still be aggressive. You can still try to attack. I think they've got to take a little bit more care. The opportunity was there. We can't keep saying this, that after 2 days they were in a fabulous position, 207 for 2, and pushing the game forward. And it just disintegrated from then on. They just fell away spectacularly. India came back in that 3rd innings, which we always in the game say that's vulnerable. They blew England away with some wonderful, exhilarating batting. How old is this lad, Jaiswal? I think he's 22 years of age. a sobering thought for young England cricketers. Here's a 22-year-old with opening the batting against Jimmy Anderson, has got 2 double hundreds.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, all the youngsters, as you mentioned earlier, Manners, to not have Virat Kohli, to not have KL Rahul, the middle order needs to do a job. Yes, the top order has scored a lot of runs in the series for both India and England, but in this match especially, you see 2 debutants and the way they played, in the manner they played. Sarfaraz Khan, I think he was outstanding, never felt like he's just playing his first test match. Same with Dhruv Jurel, getting an opportunity. KS Bharat been knocked out, and he made the most of it. He's got a very crucial 40 in the first innings, kept brilliantly. I thought he kept unbelievably well in the second inning. It was not an easy pitch. 2 best spinners probably India ever produced, bowling the ball, ragging, turning, bouncing, keeping low. He was just outstanding.
You know what I find so fascinating about India's approach is that it contained moments and periods of baseball. Jimmy Anderson went for 21 in 1 over, and Yashasvi Jaiswal would have moments of sporadic attack, but moments, periods. It wasn't indiscriminate. It was he also was prepared to put in the hard work, the graft, the long periods of defence, absorbing pressure. He recognised when people were bowling well to him, and then he would reverse the pressure when the moment arrived.
They've scored freely, and if the media, the Indian media, have got anything about them, it's Drav ball.
Yeah.
They would come straight back with Drav ball, and Dravid was nothing like that sort of player. And we see a caption that Jaiswal has hit 12 sixes in his innings, equaling Wasim Akram, and one player who's hit 11 twice was McCullum. So he plays this baseball, it's in his blood, but not Dravid. Dravid is that careful player, but he's allowing these young cricketers to express themselves. I think they've been sensational.
Okay, well, let's hear from the man that we're talking about, Yashasvi Jaiswal. He was having a chat after the game.
I think, yeah, it was pretty difficult for me, I think, because initially I was not getting runs, and I had to play the session, play the bowler, and make sure that when I'm set, then I will play my shots. Then suddenly when I got set, then I felt like I can score runs, which means I had my plans where I can play all my shots. Then I tried and play all those shots and get that runs. But after some times my back was not really good, but I tried. I didn't want it to go out, but as it was too much, then I had to go out. But the next day I didn't know that how it's going to start. Lots of thoughts in my mind. But again, when I came, I tried to give myself time and make sure that if I'm set, I'll take as deep I can. Then yeah, after that it was, I think I felt really good after that, and I make sure that if I'm there, I'll take the game forward and make sure I'll bat till the end.
Yashasvi, Dinesh Karthik here. At the start of the second innings, you played rather slowly for the first 45 balls. Any reason for doing that?
I think that moment the ball was, I think I was feeling that there is something in the wicket, and the ball was really hard, and there was something in it, and I was feeling that for me, it's really important to give a good start to the team, because as I have seen in last 3 matches, the second inning makes a huge impact on the game. Then I was trying to make sure that I'll play as many balls as I can.
One last question. The last series against South Africa, obviously played on some tough pitches. You didn't get going as a batter. So what do you tell yourself when sometimes you don't get going as a player?
Yeah, of course, I feel like whenever, if I'm set, I need to make it big, because sometimes if I'm playing well also, I can get out. As all my seniors always said to me that when you are set, make it count and make it big. Then I always try to make it big. And you know, if you see the way Rohit bhai and Jaddu bhai has played this first inning, that motivates me a lot, because the passion was there, the talk was there. They were really determined to play the session by session. Then when I was inside, I was keep thinking that when I go there, I make sure that I make it count, because the way they were talking about the game, the way they motivated us, I think it's incredible to see them putting a lot of efforts, and it's kind of hard test cricket, I guess. Then I was just making sure that if I'm there, I need to make sure that in my mind that I will give my 100%.
Yashasvi Jaiswal talking to Dinesh Karthik after his magnificent performance. I tell you what, Abhishek, the one thing that strikes me after listening to that is that one of the reasons he's so good in the middle with the bat in his hand is he's obviously so very, very good between the ears as well.
He's very smart and great game awareness. We heard the interview where he said it was very difficult for me in the first 45, 50 balls because the ball was doing enough and I knew that I cannot take a chance now. He gave himself that much time to get set, to get accustomed to the condition, to get his feet moving. And once he was set, we saw what he can do. And I think that's what England batters lacked. They tried to take on to the bowlers who they were struggling against or not comfortable or they didn't get set. So it's a great interview for a lot of young cricketers to learn from. That it doesn't matter how you want to play cricket, but in Test cricket you've got to give yourself a bit of time, I just feel.
And just looking ahead to Ranchi, I know that it's sometimes a forlorn occupation trying to persuade groundsmen to give you a certain kind of pitch. But what do you think, in an ideal world, if Rohit Sharma and the team could say, we'd like this kind of a pitch, what would it be and how do you think? And will Sarfaraz Khan stay in the side if KL Rahul's fit?
Yeah, I think Sarfaraz will stay in the side. But I think they will ask for a turner. Given the way England batted on this surface, you would ask for a turner, 100%. Why not?
Well, Bumble, for England, you said that the hard work can start now, looking towards Ranchi, but that they're not big trainers or practices, and I understand that because, you know, they've just had 4 days, as Gareth Batty would say, 4 days in the dirt. They'll be tired, they'll be sore, they'll be emotionally bruised as well as physically bruised. So, you know, they've got an extra day off now, which is, I don't know, a blessing in disguise losing in 4 days, but it's still only 4 days. They've got to go to Ranchi. Will there be some wound licking?
I think they'll get it out of the system very quickly. That's the way that they go about it. That game's gone. Let's think about this next one. They'll have to look at the personnel, certainly the 2 opening bowlers. And we've been told that they will be rotated anyway. Joe Root, who's the Premier player, hasn't got a run so far, but bowled 27 overs in that second innings there. And it seems he's got a troublesome finger. Dan Lawrence is the reserve batsman, so he'll have to get ready. There'll be some practice, of course. But if I know this England team, they'll say, OK, that's a loss. Move on to the next one. We've got 2 matches to play. Let's see if we can rectify it.
Gareth Batty's joined us now. Your thoughts on what is India's highest ever Test victory by runs? 434 runs. It's been a proper hiding.
Yeah, it has. It's not turned out the way that England would have wanted, obviously. But I suppose the nagging question is, if you're going to play in the Bazball way, I suppose that the question that they would need to be asking in the changing room is, did we do that in the second innings with the bat? Did we play expansive enough? Did we take enough risk to put India under pressure? I know it was late on and the game was already done at that point, but Mark Wood at the end there came in and played some shots. But the ball seemed to be doing less in between those shots and the ball didn't seem to spin and bounce as much, which was part of the whole reason of we're going to play our shots, because if we just stick in, we're going to get out. Question, did we just stick in and ultimately got out for a lower total than maybe just be a bit more expansive and being a bit more truer to our word?
Fascinating. It brings back memories of the very first Test match under Bazball at home when England lost by an innings to South Africa. At Lord's, and a lot of people said, were England too expansive? And Brendan McCullum's reply was, I think we weren't attacking enough. We weren't expansive enough, which shocked a lot of people. But he obviously knew what he was talking about. Are you suggesting that they could have made more of an effort to chase 557?
No, I'm saying they could have made more of an effort to stick to the process that they're committed to. So the numbers are for everybody else. I'm talking about the players and the process of how they play. The first 2 overs of the second innings were maidens. When was the last time that happened against our opening partnership of Duckett and Crawley? I don't know, and I could be wrong. It might happen all the time, but it doesn't feel like that happens a lot. So it's the whole process of I play an expansive way because I move better, I get in better technical positions to defend on the back of that, but also I'm scoring runs and I'm prepared to take the risk to be in better positions and to take the game on. I just didn't feel like England ever really punched back a lot at India today. They did everything absolutely fine. There was nothing technically jumping out where you're going, oh, he's got an awful habit and doing that wrong. But it just seemed like we shifted completely from first innings where we were literally just head down swinging to then going, okay, we'll trust our defence now, but we didn't throw anything back. So the bowlers just kept on and on and on, and ultimately there's something going to happen, and was for our downfall.
And as far as the fourth Test match is concerned, Bumble, I'm going to ask Gareth this question as well, but get your thoughts first in personnel changes. Mark Wood, I think we've been told quite clearly he's not going to play back-to-back Test matches. I think we were told that a year ago, that he wouldn't play any situation where it was back-to-back. So let's take him out of the attack. Jimmy Anderson has played 2 of the 3. I wonder whether he would be okay and up as a 41-year-old for playing back-to-back Test matches. If neither, then that would mean, if you go with 2 seamers, Ollie Robinson and Gus Atkinson, or would there be a reversion back to 3 frontline spinners?
Well, that would depend on the pitch itself, but we'll talk to Gareth about Atkinson. I think they'll be absolutely fine, and there's one way about freshening it up, and you definitely freshen it up with Robinson and Atkinson. I think Atkinson is going to be a very, very fine bowler, and we've seen Robinson take wickets, so this would be quite an examination for him. But, you know, I'd sort of concentrate on the batting. That Root looks to be suffering and looks to be struggling with his finger. Johnny Bairstow can't get a run, so the extra batsman is the Essex lad. And so, you know, for him to come in, Dan Lawrence would again freshen it up. Do they need to change? From a bowling viewpoint, India have out-bowled. They'd be more suited. I'm not saying that the better bowlers, Jimmy Anderson has got a shed full of wickets, but Ashwin has been a passenger in this game for various reasons, but the bowlers have been more suited for the type of surface that we've played on here.
Yeah, I think if the big fast bowlers are going to be rested, it's almost like for like. I think Robinson covers off a similar role to what Jimmy Anderson would do, so that's absolutely fine for the makeup of your team and how you want to play. Gus Atkinson, I wouldn't say is particularly Mark Wood in that he runs in and bowls lots of bouncers, as it were, but he's quick and he has that bit of X factor from that point of view, so that's almost like for like. And then the batting situation. The one thing about Lawrence is he gives you a spin option which takes a load away from Root. That does worry me, the workload for Root. I want him to spend all his time batting.
overs
I mean,
in this.
it's phenomenal, and he was bowling again this morning. I'm kind of like freshening him up for his batting. He's our best player.
So just talk to us about Atkinson. I was out at the ILT20. He's out there. So I'll tell you who I'm with. Simon Dewell, Ian Bishop, Wazim Akram, Waqar Younis, and they all sat up and said, who's this? It's Gus Atkinson. So tell us about him. I'm going to say he's quite tall enough, wicket to wicket, hits the pitch and gets a little bit of nip.
Absolutely. He's quite athletic in the way that he bowls. He gets a nice little bit of a snap from his action. So he's a little bit Bumrah-like, and he gets a bit of hyper-extension, so he gets a real flick from the ball, which we've seen Bumrah very effective in English conditions. So I think that transfers to Gus Atkinson. He hasn't played a lot of cricket, which is a good and a bad thing all in one. It's good from the fact that he's fresh. And when he's fresh, he has a better snap, so his ball comes out at a better velocity. But he's also somebody that likes to have a bit of rhythm and likes to have a bit of feel. He's certainly somebody that we've had our eye on at Surrey for a long period of time. He's had his issues with injuries, but I know he's getting on top of that and working on those things because of the force that goes through his body with the snap that we're talking about. He's on top of that. He can bat. He's a genuine chance of being a sort of a dashing all-rounder. He's not somebody that you're going to bat at 10 and say he's not going to affect the game. He could potentially, first-class cricket, let's say he could push himself up to 8 or 9. So in Test cricket, it could be a dangerous 9, shall we say?
Fascinating. If Dan Lawrence does play, would they put him in for Johnny Bairstow? Bairstow's played 98 Test matches now, and there's been a lot of talk about him reaching the milestone of 100 in the final Test match in Dharamshala. But if Dan Lawrence did play, I find myself completely bewitched by his bowling style. I love watching him bowl. Could he do a root job? I mean, is he good for 15 overs in a day?
Yeah, he's smart. He bowls like an intelligent batter bowls off spin, shall we say. He knows what the batters are trying to achieve. He's got a good enough skill and he's working at that skill. He wants to be seen as somebody that can bowl very good, valuable overs. If it's a straight shootout between Root and Bairstow, toss your coin. I personally would go for Joe Root because I think he is our best player. But that's not having a slight on Johnny Bairstow. But if you're wanting another spin option, he's very much in the mix, yeah.
I think it's the injury that's a worry to Joe Root, because he's been taking pills throughout this game and he's had a troublesome finger anyway. And so, this match starts on Friday. Will he be fit enough? It'll be down to the player to decide whether he is fit enough to get through the game. But I'll come back to what I said earlier. This England will get this out your system. We don't want to dwell on it. We don't want to do too many interviews. We've had a poor game. Let's start and see how we can win the next 2 matches. Not just the next match. How can we win the next 2 games?
Johnny Bairstow faced 7 balls in this Test match. And, there's almost an argument to say that that's not enough to drop him. How do you know how he's hitting the ball?
I would say how many centuries he's got. 10 centuries. He probably might have 11. 10 centuries. You got to be careful when you're dropping that sort of player.
We're going to hear from Ben Stokes very soon, but let's have another word about and a comment about Ben Duckett and his innings. I mean, it won't be remembered because, like all great innings in losing causes, they do tend to get forgotten and not given the credit.
Can I just come in first? Let's forget his innings for a minute. Never ever put him in front of a media. And yes, last night, what are you talking about? We're going to have great fun chasing this down. They're only 330 on. Keep him away from any media.
Yeah, yes, I think that does possibly overshadow what was a quite magnificent innings. And he, I suppose it's the beauty of what he has said. He said, look, I trust my reverse sweep probably a little bit more than my defence at times to spin. I think that's because of some scar tissue from being out in India before as a younger man. I think he's learnt from that. I certainly don't think his innings was particularly reckless. I just think he got onto the front foot and stayed on the front foot and played in that positive manner. It really was as good an innings as you are going to see by an England cricketer in India against a world-class attack. And I just think he has to sort of go back to the start and understand how he went about his business in that. Not the numbers. Look at the process to what let him achieve those numbers. His numbers now in Test cricket are very, very good. He's established fine opening batter.
He's Sehwag, isn't he? He's playing like Sehwag. Yeah. Let him go. Leave him.
He also said at the end of day 3, the bigger the target, the better. I mean, is he having a laugh? I mean, I don't know.
I tell you, keep him away.
You can only read into that and say, well, if it's a bigger target, we're under less pressure. It can be the only way that you could sort of make any sense of that comment, really. Look, it could be tongue-in-cheek. It could be just a lad that's come off the back of a wonderful performance, feeling on top of the world, and just got his words out wrong.
OK, it's time now to hear from England captain Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes, your thoughts on that Test match?
Yeah, obviously disappointing to come out on the wrong side of the result. And I guess, well, the most important thing for us is that we need to do is we need to move on from it. Just like we moved on from the first 2 games, obviously winning the first one, losing the second one. We've got to do the same thing here. We've got 2 games left and, great opportunity to win 3-2.
As a team, do you look back and wonder if you've done anything differently?
No, we don't do that.
You play this high-octane style of cricket. It's your first kind of heavy defeat in pretty much 2 years. Is this kind of part of the deal that if you're playing this exciting form of cricket, occasionally things are going to go wrong?
Oh no, I think saying it's part of the deal. It's just about us accepting that we're going to have bad days. Regardless of how you choose to play. We've got a style of cricket that we know suits us as individuals and as a team, and it doesn't always pay off. And we're realistic. We are realistic to that. But we know if we keep going out with the best intentions to push the game forward like we want to. When a couple of guys have their day out, we're a very hard team to play against.
Saw you having a long chat with the match referee Jeff Crow. What was that about?
It was just about Zach's DRS. He was just giving us some information around how it was judged to be given out when the ball wasn't in the stump on the DRS replay.
And there's been a number of those. Can you just expand on that? On the replay, it looked like the ball was missing the stumps.
Yeah, the ball didn't hit the stump on the replay.
And what was the answer he gave?
Well, it was apparently that the numbers said it was hitting the stump, but the image was wrong. So I don't really understand what's gone on there.
And after the last Test match, Zach Crawley was the batter as well. You said then that occasionally the technology can get it wrong. I'm guessing this hasn't dissuaded you from that opinion at all.
Well, I think when the people in charge of it are saying that something's gone wrong, then I think that says enough for it itself.
As a whole, there was Joe Root's LBW decision in the second innings and Ollie Pope's in the first. As a group, is there some frustration that the marginal calls don't seem to be falling England's way?
Yeah, I think it can do, but I don't think that's something that you pin down to a result of a game, because there's so many factors into it. And look, sometimes when you get on the wrong end of those decisions, it does hurt, but that's part of the game. But look, yeah, you want them to go your way. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So, I don't think you want to be too picky around those ones.
Is there anything England can do after this match in terms of following up that decision? Is it a complaints process or? No,
I just think I don't know. It's a tough one, because I think you just want some kind of, level playing field, I guess. I think the umpires have an incredibly hard job as it is, especially out in India when the ball's spinning and bouncing, sometimes not. My personal opinion is that if the ball's hitting the stumps, the ball's hitting the stumps. I think that should take away umpire's call, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I don't want to get too much into it, because then it sounds like we're moaning about that. That's why we lost.
Quick turnaround to the next Test match. Mark Wood and Jimmy Anderson obviously had a big workload in this one. Are you expecting everyone to be fit, or a number of changes to be made for Ranchi? I
think that decision will have to be made, later on, obviously after the rest period. But you're right, Jimmy and Woody just put an unbelievable performance in this week in terms of efforts. I'm a person who really likes to judge by the people's input as opposed to their output, and I think what they showed, not only with their efforts with the ball, but just saw even the intensity in the field throughout the whole time, even though we were so far behind, the game was always there. Those are the things that you can control. You can control your attitude and everything that you give to the team, and I thought Woody and Jimmy showed that in abundance, considering how many overs they had to bowl in this heat this week.
And finally, 2-1 down with 2 to play. Are you excited about the chance to complete the comeback and make history?
Yeah, look, we're going to try and win these last 2 games. That's what we always try and do every time we step out into the field. But going sort of straight to the point about, we can win 3-2, as I've said many times, that there's a lot of things that you need to overcome throughout a Test match to get to a result. So, we'll just be sticking to our process and staying level throughout.
Ben, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
That's Ben Stokes having a chat. I mean, you don't expect him to be downcast, or gloomy. He speaks a lot of sense.
Well, just one thing you picked up, which we said earlier. How do we win 2 matches? That's what he's looking at now. This is gone. How do we plans? Sometimes they don't work out. It's what matters in our dressing room. These plans haven't worked out. How can we win the next 2 games?
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a buzzword around sport at me. Control the noise, and that's basically what he's saying. We only care what we think in the change room. The noise is what we're talking about, or other people's perception. Don't rile up that noise. Might be something that, from a Duckett point of view, might just be something that they might want to look at.
Very quickly, I love these buzzwords these young kids come out with. You're dead right, they call it the noise. Alex Tudor, our colleague, the breeze. There's a lot of breeze going on.
The fighting draw, we've all experienced it, and they can be absolutely exhilarating and feel as good as a win. Are they gone now? Are those days gone? Do you know, I mean, who was it? Monty Panesar and Jimmy Anderson a couple of years ago in the Ashes in Cardiff. The fighting, glorious draw.
Was it David Steele, who I played against many, many times, who was brought back against the West Indies by Tony Greig? He said, I want the crowd screaming for the money back.
I was bats, honestly. I mean, are those days over? I'm asking on behalf of, I assume, hundreds of thousands of England fans saying, like, could they not have just tried to bat 130 overs for the draw?
I actually think that's how they set up to go about the business today. I think the way they were speculative, it was a bit more traditional style start to the innings with Duckett and with Crawley, and throughout the innings, we saw Joe Root under a bit of fire yesterday from whatever the shot was, and he faced his 30-odd balls for 7, and it was really only until he got out the shot that he played that he ended up getting out. I feel like we went from 100 miles an hour to possibly 10 miles an hour. We didn't just get the middle ground, and it's a very fine line playing against spin and being expansive against quality spin and taking risk. You can't go from a defensive position over 10, 15, 20 minutes to then going, right, now I'm going to be attacking. It's very, very difficult to do that.
Do you know, for the first time in my life, Bubble, I actually believe that this team won't be affected by losing by 434 runs or 4 runs.
No, I don't think they will. You know, I'm some old geezer, and I've been around a long, long time, and to England supporters, and you will always, from an England supporter, get a reaction very negative to a performance like that. Let it go. It's a 5-match series. Let's see if they can come back. It's exhilarating that the way they're playing, and they will trip up, and they've tripped up here.
I've always referred to there must be inevitable psychological bruising. They'll take a long time to come back from this, and I've always believed that to be the case. I don't anymore. Is that am I imagining it?
No, I completely agree with that. I think players wouldn't look too deeply into the overall result. They won't like the fact they've lost. Absolutely, that will never change. But there wasn't one player in an England shirt who didn't go out there and give their all. It just didn't quite work, and I think they'll put it to bed literally today.
Okay, let's hear from the victorious captain, Rohit Sharma.
Congratulations, Rohit. Again, day 2, end of day 2, backs to the wall. What was your message to the bowlers and the team?
See, I mean, when you're playing Test cricket, it's not played over 2 days or 3 days. We do understand the importance of staying in the game for 5 days. And yeah, I mean, they played well. To be honest, played some really good shots, put us under pressure a little bit there. But no, I mean, look, we've got class in our squad when it comes to bowling. So obviously, the message was to stay calm because when things like that happen, it is very easy to drift away from what actually you want to do as a team. But, I'm really proud of how we came back the next day, stuck to what we discussed. And when, those things happen, it's a delight to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a test of character and passed with flying colours. Jadeja at number 5, is that going to be how it's going to be in the future, or it was predominantly the match situation, losing 3 early wickets?
No, look, I mean, especially for this game, we thought, he's got so much experience playing this format. He's scored a lot of runs as well, off late in the last couple of years. And yeah, we always wanted that left-right batting as well. And, Sarfraz being Sarfraz, we know the quality that he brings. We wanted him to just have some time, before he gets into bat. And we saw what he did with the bat. And yeah, I mean, by no means we've any long-term plan here with the batting order. We just go by the flow, what we feel on that particular day or on in that particular test match, what is right for us, depending on the composition of the opposition as well, the bowling composition. We try and calculate everything and then we go with the flow.
So, according to you, what was the turning point in this game?
Oh, I mean, look, honestly, a lot of turning point. Obviously, once we won the toss, that was actually a good toss to win because we know in India how important it is to win the toss and put runs on the board. And that lead that we got was very, very crucial for us. The way we came out and bowl after that, onslaught from the English batters was important for us to stay calm. Like I said, the bowlers actually showed a lot of character, and not to forget, we didn't have our most experienced bowler as well. But for this group to come out and get the job done like that in that fashion was really, really proud to watch. And then with the bat again, we know that the job was half done. In the second innings, we wanted to come out and bat and take the lead as much as possible. Those two youngsters in the middle, got us that lead that we wanted. And then obviously Jadeja in the second innings with the ball was superb.
Right, couple of those debutants, I mean, both of them doing well, but can't let you go without asking about Yashasvi.
No, look, I've spoken a lot about him in Vizag as well, and I'm sure people outside the changing room has been speaking a lot about him as well. So I want to keep calm about him. I don't want to talk too much about him because he's just started his career on a high. So I just want him to continue to do that. Looks a good player, no doubt.
Indian captain Rohit Sharma celebrating his team's record 434-run victory against England in the third Test match in Rajkot. And let's not forget, the Indian captain made 131 on the first day. It seems like a long time ago, but he helped lay the platform for what was a resounding performance from his team and an equally resounding victory. We hope you've enjoyed our commentary, exclusive ball by ball on talkSPORT 2 throughout the series. Don't forget, the fourth Test match starts again at 4 a.m. UK time on Friday. We'll be on air from 3:30. And for now, it's goodbye from the cricket. Coming up at midday on talkSPORT 2, it's Women's Super League, Brighton against Liverpool.